I'll tell you exactly what I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear that you're sorry. Everyone is sorry after they get caught. I don't want to hear why you did it. I don't even want to know if this was your first novel. All this shit doesn't matter to me in the slightest. The important thing is that you did it. You fucked up our whole family. That's right. You cheated not only on me, but also on our 4 children. They won't have a chance at a normal childhood. You cheated on both of our parents. Now the children will not have a normal relationship between grandmother and grandson. As far as I understand, you're a lying, cheating piece of shit, but I talked to a lawyer, as you suggested, and she confirmed that what you threatened me with is quite likely. So my life is going to be miserable for the next 10 years. Imagine my shock when I found out that according to the law it was you who ruined us, and yet I will be punished. Rick, honey, please, I didn't threaten you. That's not what I meant. You have to believe me. I was trying to rationally point out the realities of our lives. Okay, I'm a lying liar, but do our 4 children deserve to pay for my behavior? I understand that children come first, but I think that in your world, the destruction of my life is just collateral damage. And please don't call me cute. You don't have the right to do that anymore. I'm just Rick. And just for fun, I heard you telling me that I should let you continue your affair even though you're married. I have to let this happen so I don't have to be a part-time dad paying child support for the next 10 fucking years. Isn't that a threat? I didn't say it very well yesterday. I'm sorry, but it's hard for me to explain it. It's not a blow to you, but he does things to me. He makes me feel things I've never felt before. I don't love him, but I can't let him go now. Yes, I know. And in 15 years and 4 children since then, I have never heard you complain about my abilities in bed. Not once. It's all because of you, not because of me. I know that, but please let me try to explain it better. Come on. I love fairy tales. Go on. He waved his hand ceremoniously and plopped back into his chair. In the year since it all started, have I ever refused you in bed? Have you ever noticed the slightest decrease in my attention to the whole family? Have I ever canceled lunch with you? Is there anything for which you or the children could reproach me because of my connection on the side? It's all true. But that only made him angrier, because she didn't really understand anything. Then tell me this, if you hid it so well, took care of my needs, were a good mother and all that for our children, why tell me now? At least I had the bliss of my ignorance. Now you've taken even that away from me. I had to tell you, Rick, because some of our loved ones saw me in a compromising position, and I didn't want you to find out about it from the outside. I should have told you. How noble. Who saw you with your buddy? I want to know because no one has told me a damn thing about it, and I'd like to know who my good friend is. I'm not going to tell you that. I cannot. And why not? You don't even want to tell me the name of your lover, so it gets even nastier. I won't tell you who saw me, because it doesn't matter, and it will cause you unnecessary pain. And I won't tell you who my friend is, because I know you'll attack him. I cannot allow the father of our children to be in prison. They need him. With all the sarcasm he was capable of. Gee, you seem to know what's best for me in every aspect of my life, so I guess I shouldn't get upset at all. Is it time to explain to me how good it will be for me to sit in a chair like a good little cuckold and watch you make love so that I can wash you both when you're done? Just stop being sarcastic, Rick. It doesn't suit you. And stop acting so childish. What the hell is a cuckold? No, you're being childish, Cat. Are you saying that in the last year, neither of you have ever laughed at me to humiliate me? How many times have you used him in my bed, or let him drink my booze while laughing the whole time I was out of town? Rick didn't even notice the slap. This nearly knocked him off his feet, and in anger, he instinctively began to strike back. Somehow he managed not to do it, but he was close to it. He stood rubbing his cheek and exercising his jaw to make sure it was working. He was in a state of shock. Shocked because she hit him, and horrified because he almost hit her back. He knew it was time to leave. He had to keep a distance between them. For her part, Kat was just as stunned by her abuse of the man she loved. She opened her eyes wide and covered her mouth with her hands, unable to speak. She started crying. Everything was falling apart. This was not the kind of conversation she wanted to continue. When she came to, she apologized profusely and tried to hug Rick, but he pushed her away. Rick, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I know you have no reason to believe me, but he has never been near our family and home. And none of us have ever said a word about you. I do not know if you believe, but I can share my life. When I'm with you, he doesn't even exist. And when? That's right. It also means that when you're with him, me and the kids don't exist, right? Kat lowered her head and said softly, "Yes, Rick, it is, but it's good." I was going to say, how could you possibly think that I would humiliate you? But under the circumstances, I think there's no point arguing about it. But it's true. Nothing like this has ever happened. Fuck you. Know that I'm going to do a DNA test on the children. Kat was about to slap him again, but he grabbed her arm and spoke threateningly. Don't try that again. I'm trying my best to keep my composure. And honestly, what you've been doing to me all these months doesn't give you the right to be shocked by my words. Okay, Rick, I understand, but we have to solve this problem somehow. My friend is outside our lives. You mean that bastard? It was a statement, not a question, and all the poison that had accumulated inside him was included in those words. He's not a scumbag, Rick. He's a good guy. Of course it is. Is he just a nice guy who uses other people's wives? By the way, while we're on the subject, do I need to take an STD test? I mean, how many other wives does he use? What putrefactive diseases does he carry with him? Of course, you can do it if you want. But he and I have both had weekly tests since our friendship began. I insisted on this so that you and I wouldn't be put at risk. That's great. Of course, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but forgive me if I do it anyway. Thank you for also letting me know that you're using it without protection. You made me wear condoms after our youngest was born, until I got cut off. I know you too well, Kat. What was your plan if you got pregnant because of that shitty head? Just another collateral damage to my life, raising someone else's child. I seriously want to know, since I had a vasectomy, can I expect the same speech? Listen, Rick, you're going to raise this child as your own, or I'm going to take away everything you hold dear. Is this something I should be looking forward to? Of course not. It will never happen. Can't we just focus on how we're going to solve our problems as adults? You mean work out our problems so that you can have your boyfriend and stay married to me? Work it out? I'm getting out of here before I do something stupid. If there is an emergency, you can contact me through my parents. I'll stay with them until I figure out what to do. I'll think about what you said, but right now I'm considering divorce as the only option. Please don't contact me to stop talking nonsense about how we should talk about this. I have nothing more to say. You've made your position perfectly clear. Rick really stayed with his parents. He told Mom and Dad everything, including his conversation with Kat. His father was shocked and supported him. He wasn't trying to influence Rick's decision one way or another. He just told him that he would be there for him, no matter what Rick decided. On the other hand, his mother was relentless. Even as a small child, Rick never doubted who was responsible for the family. His mother ran everything, and she started attacking him as soon as he finished his story. Come on, Ricky. She never stopped calling him that. It can't be that bad. You have 4 beautiful children who really need you. You just need to find a way to coexist with Kat. I know she loves you. Oh, Mom, did you understand everything correctly? She's making love to another man, and she wants me to put up with it. Ricky, listen to me. Divorcing her will be a permanent solution to a temporary problem. In a few months, she will overcome her infatuation with this other man and realize that she has a home. Don't divorce her. I know you can handle it. She talked about it day and night. She often cried, begging him to reconsider the decision to divorce. Sometimes she even burst out in the old. I'm very disappointed in you, Ricky. We raised you better. The worst thing she said, and even though she immediately apologized, it still hurt terribly. Ricky, if you don't go back to Kat and decide to live together, I will never forgive you. Rick knew that his parents loved their grandchildren to death, but he also noticed that whenever his mother started pestering him, his father tried to disappear from the room. When they were alone, his father reminded him that he would support any decision he made, but his father never said anything like that when his mother was around. In the end, Rick came to the conclusion that it was best to keep the family together. Anyway, he didn't have many options. He felt like a bird trapped in a cage. He couldn't find a way out. So he just decided to put up with it and make the most of a bad situation. And he went home. Listen, Kat, I've decided to stay. I'm only staying so that our children don't have to grow up in a ruined house. And because I know that if I leave, your fucking buddy will move into my house in the blink of an eye. I will not expose our children to this. However, I will only stay here until little Amanda turns 18, and then I will leave. I'm going to turn the study into my bedroom because I don't think I want to be in the same bed with you. No, no, no. She stamped her foot. You're going to sleep with me. I've been living with my friend for a year now. Have you ever seen or felt anything that aroused suspicion? No, there was no such thing. You're sleeping with me, and it's final. Besides, what will the children think? Since you're going to stay at home, we have to keep up appearances. If you want to leave after the other kids leave and Amanda turns 18, so be it. In the meantime, we sleep together. Kat understood it this way. She knew that Rick loved her and that their relationship would improve over time. She wasn't going to give him a reason to distance himself. She vowed to herself that in the future she would be even more careful with her lover to make sure that Rick would not see or feel anything that could anger or hurt him. Of course, the children were overjoyed that he had returned home, but Rick was even happier. He couldn't stay away from them. Even during his business trips, he made it a point to contact them every day. He also never forgot to bring them small gifts home. The sight of their euphoria gave him hope that he could get through it. Things didn't go well at first. And although Kat no longer bothered trying to convince him that everything was okay, she did a full course of pressure to get him to make love to her. But Rick couldn't do that. He tried his best to behave normally, but it was difficult for him, and an uneasy truce was established between husband and wife. It was very difficult for Rick not to get angry whenever Kat left the house alone, although she told him that she only saw her friend once or twice a week. In Rick's mind, it was every time Kat left the house alone, and it hurt him deeply. Kat tried everything to make it more comfortable for him, but it didn't work. So after going through a few difficult weeks, she decided to go to a marriage counselor. Kat felt that Rick wasn't adapting quickly enough to the new situation, and it was important to help get their relationship back on track. The children also began to suspect something. Rick was stunned when Kat came up with the idea. Wait, let me figure it out. Do you want me to go to marriage counseling with you so that I can be more comfortable when you're making love to other guys? Seriously? He was laughing so hard that he started to hiccup, but suddenly Kat saw a gloomy expression on his face. He became quiet and very sullen. You know, Kat, maybe this is a good idea. We have to do this. Rick had several reasons to agree. He was mostly curious about how Kat was going to sell her boyfriend to a counselor to make their marriage stronger. At least it might be interesting. But I have to choose a consultant. He didn't want some child of the sun from the New Age heir to extol the virtues of polyandrous relationships in front of him. Kat readily agreed, and for some unfathomable reason felt dizzy with excitement and anticipation. All Rick could do was shake his head in amazement at the depth of her delusion. Kat was amazed by the success of the consultation. After 2 or 3 sessions, Rick became much more affectionate at home. He didn't yell at her, and he wasn't sulking anymore. Frankly speaking, the consultant was also amazed. Basically, all he did was point out to Rick that it doesn't matter what the social norms are. What matters is what Rick and Kat consider normal. The consultant saw more and more similar situations in his practice, and they never ended well. As soon as the 10 sessions were over, he thought he should write an article and submit it to Psychology Today. Maybe it will help couples all over the country. So life went on in Rick and Kat's house. Their marriage could not be called divine with all the imagination, but they got along well and worked together to give their children the best childhood experiences they could. To an outsider, it seemed that their marriage was better than most. Almost immediately after the end of the consultation, their lovemaking returned to a normal level. Rick and Kat never talked about her male friend again. Rick knew he was ignoring the obvious, but he didn't see a good reason to bring it up. There was a serious incident that upset Rick so much that he almost broke their agreement. About 6 years later, Rick's father called and asked him to come to them immediately. Kat noticed the serious expression on his face. Rick, is something wrong? You're scaring me. I do not know, but I think my mother may be ill. Dad said I need to go there right now. Well, wait, I'm with you. No, he told me to come alone. Kat looked worried because she loved his parents almost as much as she loved her own. Okay, but please let me know what's going on as soon as possible. He promised that he would do so, and headed for his childhood home. When he arrived, his parents were both sitting in the living room. His father looked angry, and his mother was obviously crying. This only increased his anxiety. My father spoke first. "Rick, I want you to know that I only found out about this yesterday, and I'm very angry with your mother." And he left the room. "What's going on, Mom?" "Ricky, there's something I have to tell you, and it's going to hurt you. I never wanted that. I just wanted to keep your family together. You know I love grandchildren so much. Just tell me, Mom. I saw Kat with a guy many years ago. I once saw them leaving a hotel room when I was meeting Doris for lunch." "What? And you didn't tell me about it? How could you do this to me?" "Darling, the children were just babies. They needed both parents." She kept talking, but he didn't hear the rest of what she said. He was stunned. His own mother. Rick got up and left without saying another word. When he returned home, Kat nervously bombarded him with questions, but he just said that his parents were worried if we had enough money to pay for all the children's college tuition. "I told them that we are working on it. They told me they would help me in any way they could. They're just getting older and worried. I think this is typical for old people." "Well, thank God. I hope you told them not to worry anymore." Rick just nodded his head and went to the backyard. Rick's relationship with his mother has never been the same. Oh, they saw each other, usually with their grandchildren and Kat, but the close relationship they had was gone forever. It was the same with his parents' marriage. His father actually left home for about a month. He was so upset about his wife's deception. Unfortunately, his father passed away about a year after this meeting. He died a sad man, and that really bothered Rick. He had a few dark days after the funeral. To Kat's credit, she was with him every step of the way and helped him get out of depression. Rick's determination to leave his wife began to weaken. He was very worried, but realized that his wife loved him and that she was trying to be with him, so he doubted. Their eldest went to college. The next two followed him. Amanda would turn 18 in a couple more years. She graduated from high school and was ready to go to a public college. The years of raising a child, especially in high school, passed in a blur. Around the same time, his mother also left. Death is a very difficult and time-consuming process. There is a saying that, being an only child, the good news is that when your parents die, you don't have to argue about anything with your siblings. The bad news is that you don't have any siblings with whom you can share this burden. His parents left him enough money to ensure that all children would be able to graduate without burdening themselves with student loan debt. Looking through their papers, Rick saw a letter from his mother addressed to him and handwritten. The envelope simply said, "To Riku after I'm gone." It was dated just 3 weeks before her death. He put it in his pocket and decided to read it later. Shortly after his mother's death, Rick essentially decided to stay with Kat. The pain and anger were gone, and he felt like he had a better life than most. So why rock the boat? Besides, he had seen how lonely his mother was, and he was worried that the same thing might happen to him if he left Kat. Amanda was ready to leave, and he was already suffering from empty nest syndrome. Rick threw the letter into his desk and forgot about it for a few weeks. One day, while rummaging in his drawer, he saw it and decided to read it. What he read shocked him. He could hardly believe it. That's the trouble. When people start lying to you, trust disappears, so you question everything. Was the content true? Or was his mother just trying to look better after death? He decided to tear up the letter and not say a word. It's been less than a year before Amanda turns 18 and goes to college. But he often thought about writing, and this influenced his decisions about the future. The day after Amanda left for school, Rick sat next to Kat. "Kat, I've met with a lawyer and I'm going to divorce you. You're going to the office to sign the papers, or I can serve you. I don't want to embarrass you, but it's time for me to move on." "But why? We've been so good all these years." "Because I don't love you, Kat, and we agreed that I would stay until Amanda turns 18. "Don't you love me?" "No, Kat, and my love didn't disappear gradually. It stopped the moment you threatened me. I owe it to myself to leave, as we agreed 10 years ago. I know our paths will cross again because of the children and grandchildren, so I'll be polite, but we're done." "Come on, Rick. Do you mean all those times when we held hands, countless times when you told me how much you loved me and making love wasn't real?" "I lied to you, Kat. It was a performance. And do you know why?" Kat was crying openly now. She didn't say anything, just shook her head negatively. Because I realized something, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. You can divorce me at any time and for any reason. Why do you think I agreed to the consultation? We live in a guilt-free environment. You could file for divorce just because I forgot to take out the trash or forgot about your birthday. What if over time, you fell in love with your toy boy? I would become a part-time dad. You had all the power in our relationship. I couldn't take any chances, so I tried to be the best father I could, and I pretended to be with you. I don't believe you. I know that you love me. I know that you love me. I would never do anything like that to you. She was screaming hysterically and crying uncontrollably. Maybe it was only now that she finally realized the true depth of her actions. Wait, please, Rick, I have to tell you something. I haven't seen my boyfriend or been with anyone but you for almost 10 years. Am I supposed to believe that? It's pretty risky even for you, Kat. Rick really felt that Kat would say or do anything to get what she wanted. I swear it's true, Rick. I was an absolutely faithful wife to you a few months after our conversation. Why and what happened? You never told me anything. I thought you wouldn't believe me anyway, so I didn't say anything. It so happened that as soon as I told him that now you understand our relationship, he began to change. When we were together, he started belittling you, calling you a cuckold weakling. He started telling me that I should cut you off and said all sorts of perverted things when we were close. Finally, one day I got tired of it. I slapped him in the face and left. I never came back, and I've never been with anyone else but you. How many times did you hit him? Just once? Why do you ask? Just like that. At least he and I are even the same in this. So you've been keeping this to yourself all these years? Yes, Rick. I decided that the only thing I could do was be the best mother and wife I could be, and I thought we were fine. Well, I'm giving you this. You were an amazing mom. I don't see how anyone could be better, and I know you're going to be a great grandmother. But I have to tell you that my pain is there, and it's not going anywhere. I'll also give you credit for trying to be a good wife. I know that the intimacy that we had before your affair never returned, but I knew that you tried and that you cared about me. However, for me it has never been better than just two friends with benefits. Please, Rick, you have to stay. Please don't leave me. I will do whatever you say so as not to lose you. Please, I beg you. Okay, Kat, then answer me one question. A few years ago, I found out that it was my mother who saw you with your lover. Kat acted as if she was shocked by this discovery. Have you ever talked to her about it? After a significant pause, she replied, No, dear, I had no idea your mother had seen me. It's weird, Kat. She told me that later that day you confronted her and threatened that if she told me about it, she would be responsible for the destruction of our family and that you would make sure that she never saw her grandchildren again. I didn't do anything like that. I do not know, Kat, but what my mother told me is very similar to what you told me 10 years ago. The problem now is that I don't believe you. I'm sorry, but there's nothing you can say that would make me stay. Anyway, it's time for me to do something for myself. I've spent all this time here for the kids, and now it's my time. Goodbye, Kat. Kat collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably, but Rick was steadfast. He left his house for the last time. On the same day, he began receiving angry and emotional calls from each of the children asking him why he had left their mother. Before answering, he asked everyone a simple question. Was I a good father? They assured him that he had been a fantastic father throughout their lives. He was moved to tears by their approval of his efforts. When he got his emotions under control, he told them the unvarnished truth, including their grandmother's involvement in it. He didn't throw any punches or embellish anything. He explained that he almost left then because he was filled with anger and shame. They understood everything and thanked him for staying with them. And although they maintained a relationship with their mom, they were never the same. Rick never spoke to Kat again. He even refused to be in the same room with her, except for children's weddings and grandchildren's birthdays. Rick loved his independent life. He realized that there is a big difference between independence and loneliness. He was never lonely because he had an important part of the love and respect of his children.